Greetings, everybody. I thought I'd share my thoughts about why I started off a YouTube channel about 40K and other hobby-related things that I like, Star Wars, video games, that sort of thing. And I don't have a great answer. It's not like I set out to do this because I want to live the YouTube star lifestyle. Quite the opposite. That's really not my thing. To quite honest, it sounds like a lot of work. I've seen a lot of these folks that I follow on YouTube. They spend a ridiculous amount of time making really incredible content. They have some serious talent. And much like the rest of this channel, I am not good at a ton of things. I'm good at some things, the things that I'm good at. And I'm decent at a whole range of things, but that takes a lot of work. And, that's certainly not the plan here. The reason I did start it was because for the longest time, as long as I can remember, heck, 5, maybe 10 years, my life has been mostly about work. It's been about, doing the things that I do, being the best professional I can be. And, a lot of times that means working nights, working weekends. It's not a punch in, punch out kind of a job. It's a career where you do the absolute best you can be, that you can do, and be the best professional you can be. But that means that you put in long hours sometimes, not all the time. But it's absolutely stressful. There's a ton of accountability. The work is never done, and you don't really leave work at home. You bring it with you, even if you're not actively working on the keyboard, but you're thinking about it, and you're singing about it, and you're thinking about singing about it. And so I'd say about a month or so back, finished a huge project. It was probably the biggest thing I've ever done in my professional career. It is high stakes. And it's not really over. There's going to be some follow-up, but I basically wrote this huge report that a number of people are going to read. It's not going to be like the Great American Novel, but it is very important in my industry, and the ramifications of getting it wrong are severe. And it rested on my shoulders, and it was the first time I've ever done anything quite of this magnitude, and so I was freaking out. And I freaked out for a long time, months and months and months, and then the last month was just crunch time. It was all I did. And when I was done, I submitted the paperwork. It was in the mailbox because that's how it works in this industry right now. Threw this big packet in the mailbox, and I found myself thinking, what now? Who am I? Who is George without this huge pressure on my shoulders? I didn't have a really good answer. I hadn't had time for hobbies. We're in the middle of quarantine, so I couldn't even go out to have a beer at my local adult beverage establishment. I live about 2.5 hours away from my significant other. She lives in one town in Texas. I live in another town in Texas. And between any 2 points in Texas, you have to drive, minimum of 8,000 miles. That's, give or take. So during the times I did take a break, because, you can't spend your entire time, no matter how big the project is, working. You're eating, you're sleeping, you're walking away for a second or more just to get away from it all. During those times, I found myself watching YouTube, and you know how YouTube is. You watch one video, here's some related videos, you go down that way, you go down that way, and eventually I found myself watching some videos about Warhammer 40k, which is a hobby I partook on. I used to geek out on Warhammer 40k when I was in undergrad as a college student. Had a bunch of geeky friends, and we would sit around the table or the carpet and just roll one bad roll after the other, but we had a really good time. And watching those videos reminded me of that time. It was a bit of a more carefree time. I had more free time. I had a larger circle of friends. And I'm not bemoaning. I'm exactly where I want to be. But it was a different version of me back then. And I do look fondly upon the past in many cases. So, you know, I was like, okay, I'll keep watching these. And then I got to see that there is this whole Indomitus, the new Warhammer set, the transition to 9th edition. And I thought, ooh, I wonder, now that I've done this big work thing, I wonder if I can do this. I wonder if I could, you know, start my own army. I wonder if maybe I can meet some people at a game store and maybe have a few friendly rounds of Warhammer 40k. It sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds like a lot of potential fun. Being social. I'm like what I like to call I'm an introvert that pretends to be an extrovert, and I do a really good job of it, but it's exhausting. So I thought, you know, sure, now's a good time to rediscover a new hobby. And, you know, who knows if I'll enjoy it. I mean, I probably will enjoy it, but maybe I won't be passionate about it. You know, who knows? But try it, right? If you don't enjoy it, if, you know, the worst that can happen is that you've spent, well, not a little bit of money, you've spent some money buying a bunch of plastic pieces and some paints and some stuff, and you never, you know, whatever, you're exploring something new, and the worst thing that can happen is that you learn something about yourself that, hey, you know what, this is something I used to enjoy, I don't enjoy it as much anymore. Cool, now I don't have to think about it anymore, I can go find something else that I enjoy. So that's kind of the story about how I reconnected with Warhammer 40k. As so far as a YouTube video, that's a different thing, right? I started thinking about, well, there's a ton that I don't know about Warhammer 40k. There's a lot of skills involved in, you know, collecting, building, painting, kit bashing, making army lists, you know, dragging all of your stuff over to the store and playing the game. I mean, there's a lot to this hobby. As, you know, if you're watching this, you know what that means. You know that there's a lot of stuff, a lot of things that are involved in it, and in a sense, it's almost like another job, in that you spend so many hours, you know, doing things around the hobby, and hopefully those are hours that you're spending and that you're enjoying them. But, you know, it's a big commitment of time. It's a big commitment of resources. And if you keep, you know, if you lose games like I used to, then it's a huge commitment of your self-esteem, because it sucks to not be great at something. So, like I said, I would look at YouTube, watch these people who were just amazing at painting and modeling, at you know, thinking about army lists and examining changes from one edition to the other and what implications it has for your tactical game. I mean, I've been blown away. And it's not just 40k, obviously. There's other things that I watch, and there's some people that are really good at what they do. And as I learned from these people, I thought, okay, I'm gonna watch these videos, I'm gonna learn from them, and I'm going to apply those lessons as I reconnect. Because, you know, back when I did play Warhammer 40K in college, I was decent at it. And I mean, I was decent at playing, I was decent at painting, but I was never great at it. So I thought, well, I wonder, you know, can I shake the cobwebs off, taking the lessons that these people are teaching me and the rest of us? Can I elevate my game? Can I be better than I was? And so that's an interesting question, and I thought, well, that's kind of an interesting story, or at least it has niche appeal. You know, maybe a dozen people out there might find it interesting to watch me fumble around trying to figure out how to paint things, remember how to paint things, and why not? There's a lot of people that are starting the hobby during this transition to 9th edition. Lots of people are starting new YouTube channels. And I thought, why not? Let's do something different. Let's do something fun. Maybe I'll learn something. Maybe I'll just spend some time. Who knows? But I thought I'd, you know, videotape the journey. And I am not a video editor. I am not a meme creator. I don't know much at all about Adobe Photoshop, other than I know that it exists and you can do really cool things with it if you have some skills and have a lot of, you know, apply a lot of practice to it. None of which I have, and to be honest, I'm not going to invest a ton of time on that because that's not my strength. You know, I'm doing this because I want to have some fun, maybe connect with some people, but I'm not in it to make a living. This isn't a side hustle, and quite frankly, I've got enough work, a ton of it. I don't need any more. I want to have as much fun as I can, and that's the end of that. So the core idea behind the channel, aside from just, hey, let's have some fun with 40K, it's we all have our strengths. We're all really good at some things, right? And for most of us, we're really good at a few things. Maybe we're really good salespeople, or maybe we're really good at developing Java apps, or maybe we're really good at fitting pipes and making sure a septic system works and it's flawless and it makes sure it doesn't leak. But most of us aren't good at a ton of things. To be really good at something, you need to not just know how to do stuff. You have to have practiced. Back in my day, when I was when I like to think of myself as a trained psychologist, not the kind that helps people, but just the kind that understands people. The idea was that you had to have something like, I think it was 10,000 hours of practice on a task for you to become an expert at it. And so, you know, we have a certain amount of years in our life, we have a certain amount of hours in the day. For us to be really, really good at something, we have to devote a ton of time to it. And there's an opportunity cost there, right? So if you spend 20 hours in a day being good at Counter-Strike Go, I think there's probably a new version of Counter-Strike. It's been that long since I've played Counter-Strike. But if you spend 20 hours a day being really good at Battlefield 5, then that's 20 hours a day you could not spend being really good at painting a model. Or 20 hours you couldn't be really good at, 20 hours you couldn't spend to be really good at learning tax laws, or categorizing insect life in a certain region of the United States. We have to make choices. And so most of us choose to specialize in certain things, which means there's a whole range of activities and topics and ideas that we're interested in, and that we could maybe bring some of our skills, right, generalize them over to that new thing and be relatively decent, right? Maybe be pretty average at it. And that's okay. Like, that's the way it's supposed to be. We're supposed to be really good at a few things and be just okay at a bunch of stuff. And there's going to be a bunch of even more stuff that we're just horrible at. And that's okay. This channel is all about being that average bear, right? No matter what you're doing, there's a really good chance you're just going to be average at it. And, you know, we're here to celebrate being average. You're going to see me assemble some models. I mean, I won't say poorly, right? Because I know where the legs are going to go. You know, I know where their guns are going to go. I know that Blood Angels are going to be red. I know that Eldar are going to have gems on them. I know that Orcs are going to have spikes and fangs. So I'm not going to be horrible at it because, you know, I've done it before and I wasn't, you know, the worst. And it's the same thing. Like when I have, it's been a while, but when I play an FPS, like I'll throw a Battlefield 5 or Battlefield 4, or any of the other games that kind of catch my attention, and I click on Steam and I buy it and I go, oh, this is neat for like 2 days, and then go, oh, I'm gonna go back to YouTube, man. It's okay to be average, and what it looks like to be average is very, very different from what we see when you see a guy like Jack Frags playing Warzone, and he just has some wicked shots. I'll never be that good, and that's okay. I have to understand that unless I'm willing to spend a ton of time and maybe mix that in with some inherent ability or maybe a faster reaction time. Who knows, right? Whatever that is, that magic sauce that you add to repetition and practice. Whatever that is, I ain't got. So I'll never be Jack Frags good, but I enjoy watching Jack Frags. But what about the rest of us? What about the rest of us who don't have, you know, a billion viewers on YouTube? Well, our experience is very, very different. And I think that's a story that deserves to be told. It's a story that deserves to be looked at, chuckled over, and who knows, maybe we'll learn something. Maybe we'll be better than we were by watching our mistakes, by making those mistakes public. So that's what your average bear gaming is about. At least that's what I want it to be about. So in this channel, we'll explore Warhammer 40k, we'll explore FPS shooters, we'll explore some Star Wars stuff, some Star Trek stuff, anything that's shiny and catches my interest, things that I've enjoyed in the past and I continue to enjoy. Let's enjoy them together, and maybe we'll get better at it.